Hello everybody, today is Tuesday and we are continuing to work on charts to better simplify everything and, become better musicians in that regard. Okay, so we're working on Down from the Sky from Trivium, metal, woot, reet, all that wonderful stuff. So I have my transcription of the song Down from the Sky from Trivium. The thing that's going to be tricky about certain songs as opposed to others. Last week we did What's My Age Again from Blink-182, and that's very, you can find a chord progression for that thing. The tricky thing about a lot of rock and roll nowadays, rock, metal, whatever you want to call it, in this case it's metal, is that it's very, very, very riff-oriented stuff. Now, in the music theory lesson that we did last week, I discussed that power chords are not technically chords because there's no defining chordal value, harmonically speaking, to the chord itself. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about is being able to write out this chart in the sense of being able to sit down and look at things riff by riff, which a lot of rock and roll is actually based off of. Not so much chord progressions, but riffs. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go from the intro to the pre-chorus, where the pre-chorus changes meters and all that wonderful. You get what I mean by doing all this. Okay, so we go back to the song, Down from the Sky from Trivium, and we hit play.
Of growth with a cavity of serpentine. What the bass strike of the sweet feast of innocent blood.
Okay, that bleeded a little bit into the pre-chorus, but you heard that in the intro it was a lot slower, and then the last measure of the intro, it started to pick up the tempo until it got to the, tempo it wanted to be at. So let's look at this thing riff by bloody riff. Now, I've said before that the bass is very much the bridge between what's going on harmonically and melodically with the rest of the orchestration, what's going on in the drums. Now, you can hear it if you really sit and listen. And you can really, really hear it in this song with the intro. Oh, so the first 4 measures of the song, the first 4 measures of this song is a suspended B5 chord, B power chord, and basically all you're doing is holding it out. And then when it gets to the second half of the 8 measure intro, it follows the guitar line identically. So basically, what you want to do is go to your chart, and for your notes for the intro, follow guitar for first rep of intro. Because the first time through the intro, you are quite literally just following what the rhythm guitar is doing. So now we can put in our notation. So the intro repeats twice. The entire 8-measure thing repeats twice. So we put our little repeat signs in there, and then we put, for the first line we just put B, and then 3 backslashes. Now since you're not getting off of B for the entire first 4 measures, all you're doing is suspending a B chord in time with the guitar. Just put B in the very first measure and then just put 4 backslashes throughout the rest of the first line of columns that you have in your chart. Now, gets a little trickier, but in the second half, but like we said, it's just following what the guitar is doing. So if you just listen, follow what the guitar is doing, it really shouldn't be that hard. Now it changes chords, more specifically power chords, each measure after that in the second line. So we put A, and then 3 rhythm slashes, G, and then 3 rhythm slashes, A, and then 3 rhythm slashes, and then E, A. How'd that happen? Okay, edit, undo. No, ugh. Okay, redo typing. Then E, and then 3 rhythm slashes. Now, listening to what the guitar is doing, it's not a clear, steady, on one. It goes from chord to chord. We'll go back and listen to the intro again, just so you can better hear it. God damn it, come on. Come on. This is the first 4. We're just holding out that beat. Okay. A, G. So if you really sit and listen to what the guitar is doing, it's hitting, when it gets to the G and the A chords, it's sliding down and up into those chords. So on beat 1 of your first measure of the G, you actually got to think more in terms of 16th notes. So we know that a 16th note for beat is counted as 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. When it gets to in the A measure, there's on beat 4, or we got an 8th note being, we got first measure. Let me start again. The first measure of the second half of the intro, where it starts on A, it is a dotted half note, which basically means a dotted half note is a full half note and half of a half note. So it's really 3 beats held together. And then those 3 beats are being tied into an 8th note, which is the downbeat of 4. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, da 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 da. We got the 8th note tying into beat 4. And then, because it's an 8th note, you can squeeze in 2 16th notes to fill out the beat. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 1E, 2, 3, 4, and a 1E, 2, 3, 4. So there are 16th note rhythmic variations in the A, G, A measures of the second half of the intro, but the E, you just hit E. Like I said, listen to what the guitar is doing and you'll be able to figure it out. Now, the second half of the intro, you are quite literally following along with the drum kicks. Because what's the best way to be the rhythmic and harmonic bridge in the song? Play what the root of the chord is, but do it in such a way that it mirrors the drum pattern. So, we'll start again from the beginning. Da 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 da. Second half of intro song. I tried clapping out what the rhythm was, you know, in terms of what the drum pattern was, but again, just listen. So, we go back to our chart for the intro, we have it being repeated, so we know that we got to play this entire intro progression twice. So, we got follow guitar for first rep of intro, so you're basically just doing what the guitar is doing for the first time through the intro. Then, next to that, we put follow drums for second rep of intro. And that way then we go into the first verse. Now we'll listen to the verse, and this can be copied and pasted into the second verse. God damn it, computer.
Cast of crows with a cavity of serpentine. What the bass strike?
So with the verse, there's a lot of just eighth note pulsing, just don 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 don. But you know, we look at our chart, we have a 8 measure verse pattern. 8 measures of the verse that repeat. So we put in our little repeat signs, one at the beginning of the first column and one at the end of the second column on the second row. So if you really listen to what the, listen to the song on beats 1 of measures 1 and 3 of both lines, it's 1E and a da. The guitar goes 1E and a da, 1E and a 2, rests. 1E and a 2, rests. Measure 1E and a da, 1E and a 1. 1E and a 2, 3 and a 4, da 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 da. Now, the bass, in terms of looking at this riff by riff, follows that 16th note, da 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 da. So, all we need to do in terms of note for the verse is put in follow guitar pattern. No, that's not the best note. Actually, the better way to put it is beats 1 of measures 1, 3, 5, and 7, because if you look at our chart, measure 1 is the first row, first column. Measure 3, count over 1, 2. You got 3. It's, the third column in that row. Measure 5 starts the next row, and measure 7 is below measure 3. So it all makes sense. So beats 1 of measures 1, 3, 5, and 7 follow guitar eighth note pulse rest of the time. So that you know that on beats 1 of those 4 measures, you're following the guitar. But then after that, it's just thumping out eighth notes for that chord. And all it simply is a lot like the intro. The first line is all B, so you just gotta do exactly what you did for the intro for the first line. B, 3 rhythm slashes for the first measure, and then 4 for every subsequent measure in that row. And then start of the second row, we got G, 3 rhythm slashes. Why did I put 4 there? And then measure 7, the third column of row 2, we put A. We put E. Right. Rhythm slashes. What the hell's going on? And there we go. We got our verse. So we just copy the notes that we have next to verse, and then put them next to verse 2, and copy what we put inside the table that we have for that verse and put it in for verse 2. And there we go. Oh, tomorrow we will go into charting out the chorus and the pre-chorus, and that will allow us to chart out the bridge, all the variants of the bridges, and the guitar solo for the rest of the week.